protected by sovereign immunity.
You can start now.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Megan Christopher. This is my colleague, Alex Oberdiking, and we are representatives from Top Hat Consulting. We want to thank you for asking us back here today to discuss the ethical implications of this case and our ethical recommendation. I'll begin with a brief overview of the case. So in the 1990s, Allergan developed a drug called Restasis. It's a drug to help chronic dry eye syndrome. You have to have a prescription to get this drug. In the midst of last year, the last 2 years, some of your competitors have tried to make generic versions of this drug. You sued them for patent infringement, and although you won the case, the judge also decided that Restasis patent cannot be extended past 2024 due to obviousness. Now, in order to protect the profits generated from Restasis, you sold it to the St. Regis Mohawk tribe. So now the patent is protected by sovereign immunity and can no longer be challenged and will no longer expire. So let's just dive right into the ethical implications of this case. Allergan has done a great job establishing a respectable ethical reputation in the pharmaceutical community. It started when you appointed your new CEO, you, Mr. Brett Saunders, and you immediately spoke out against Mylan's 500% EpiPen price increase. You promised consumers you would never participate in price gouging. In fact, you're going to limit price increases to no more than single-digit increases and no more than once per year. You then created a social contract promising consumers accessibility and stable pricing of your medication, as well as a commitment as a corporation to creating life-enhancing innovations. Now, this is a very complicated case to run an ethical analysis on, because this is the first time Allergan has been the center of attention in an ethical dilemma, and there's no clear right or wrong answer in this case. On a smaller scale, it's a win-win. An impoverished community in upstate New York, the St. Regis Mohawk tribe, gets $13.7 million up front for the deal and $15 million a year in licensing fee. In exchange, your company gets indefinite use of a blockbuster patent. On the larger scale, this could set a very dangerous precedent for the pharmaceutical industry and undermine the entire IPR process, or the patent challenging process. So when conducting our ethical analysis, we decided to look internally at your code of conduct and your social contract. We found that it conflicts with your position on fair competition and human rights, and it undermines the commitment that you made to your consumers on accessibility and pricing of your medication. I'll begin with fair competition. In your code of conduct, you said that you want to win patients' trust based on the quality of merit. You will never practice unfair business practices, and you will uphold the free and open market, the free and fair market. This deal violates that clause for several reasons. When you sold the patent to the St. Regis Mohawk tribe and enabled it that it would never be challenged or expired, and also in the court, Restasis was proven to be an obvious formula, meaning that there was nothing novel about the formula that made up your product. You created a virtual monopoly over a drug that should no longer be patent protected, and that is not upholding and respecting the free and fair market. Additionally, you are not maintaining patients' trust based on quality or merit. You're maintaining patients and clients based on lack of other options. Next, we'll jump into the human rights argument. You committed to respecting and being good corporate citizens for your entire supply chain, and the St. Regis Mohawk tribe is now a member of your supply chain. They provide you with intellectual property and patent for the use of your patent Restasis. In exchange, you pay them a licensing fee every single year. Restasis makes your company nearly $1.4 billion every year, but you're only paying the St. Regis Mohawk tribe $15 million. That's less than 1% of the revenues generated by Restasis. Considering that a patent is typically valued at the present value of all future cash flows protected by that patent, you're grossly undercompensating the St. Regis Mohawk tribe, therefore disrespecting and taking advantage of an impoverished state in your supply chain. Next, in your social contract, you discuss that you are willing to risk millions, if not billions of dollars to create life-enhancing innovations. It is obvious you are not risking anything to protect a drug that makes you nearly $1.4 million a year. In fact, in the past several years, the only thing that has changed with Restasis is the methodology for production, the labeling, and the dosage that you've given out to the pharmacies. Nothing has improved in the formula, and that is not a commitment to innovation. Finally, before I pass it off to Alex for the ethical recommendation, I want to discuss the very dangerous precedent you're setting for the industry and the entire patent challenge process. With this legal loophole, you're potentially undermining the entire value of intellectual property. It makes up of 32% of the United States GDP. It protects about $27.1 billion every year in jobs and makes up about 52% of the value of U.S. exports. Without clear property laws, capitalism in the modern economy couldn't exist. You're potentially putting the whole U.S. economy at risk because the new standards you're setting for the intellectual property could blur lines to an unforeseeable extent. Now I'll pass it off to Alex with our ethical recommendation.
Thank you, Megan. There is no argument that Restasis is a money-making machine for your company. However, the ongoing process of patent protection has resulted in negative consequences for Allergan. We believe with a simple 3-action plan, we can maximize profits while maintaining your company's ethical integrity. These actions are as follows. You should transition Restasis from a prescription to over-the-counter drug. You should continue to invest heavily in research and development. And you should donate money to the St. Regis Mohawk tribe for their early childhood program. I will now discuss these steps in more detail. In order to transition the drug from prescription to over-the-counter, you must submit an NDA, a new drug application, to the Food and Drug Administration. This process usually takes about 10 to 12 months. In order to be accepted by the FDA, your drug has to meet the following criteria. It needs to have an acceptable safety margin, a low misuse and abuse potential, a healthcare practitioner must not be needed for the safe and effective use of the product, and finally, it needs to have appropriate labeling. We believe that Restasis meets all of this criteria and is an appropriate candidate for over-the-counter approval. Our second recommendation is that Allergan continue to invest heavily in research and development over the next 5 years. Your company has placed more of an emphasis on R&D than your competitors, and this should continue going forward. Your company emphasizes the importance of being an innovator in the pharmaceutical industry, and continue to invest heavily in R&D aligns with this goal. Finally, you should donate money to the St. Regis Mohawk tribe. This deal with the tribe, you utilized their sovereign immunity for financial gain. Although it did benefit both parties at the time, it has not turned out the way you expected. The St. Regis Mohawk tribe is one of the poorest communities in the Northeast, and this deal was huge for them. The agreement called for $15 million in annual royalty payments for the tribe. Since Allergan has already set this money aside, it should instead be used to invest in the tribe's early childhood program and their existing preschool facilities. It is estimated that by investing in these facilities, their high school graduation rates will increase by 6.8% and college attendance will increase by 3.8%. This donation will be a huge help to the tribe and will provide Allergan with a positive reputation going forward. Overall, our recommendation will benefit all parties involved. Allergan will continue to see steady revenue growth while Restasis is under patent. Once the transition is made, Restasis will generate $500 million in revenues annually. You will be able to target the 42 million people worldwide that suffer from minor to severe dry eye due to the reduced price and increased convenience of the drug. Additionally, by 2020, you will see increased revenue growth due to your continued investment in R&D. And finally, donating to the St. Regis Mohawk tribe will allow your company to live up to its moral duty. You entered into this agreement to both help a community in need and to benefit your company. So why not continue to help this community after the deal has fallen through? Overall, these recommendations will benefit Allergan moving forward. Thank you very much for having us here today, and we look forward to working with you in the future.